As you've seen, Andrew Abu joins us as a member of the APC, live from our Abuja studio this morning. Good morning, Mr. Abu. Quite a lot of ground to cover, I must tell you, with that conversation with Reverend Father Eusani. And we've heard the president speak about security, which is one of the biggest topics, in fact, the biggest issue in Nigeria, insecurity. And I can go on and on about the incidents we've seen so far. But I'd like you to first respond to something that the Reverend Father said. He was asked which of the, leadership periods in Nigeria, if I could use that, was the closest to, what would be ideal. And he didn't talk about this one. He said as far back as the First Republic, that's the one he will say is closest to, the ideal situation. And I know that for your party, the APC, this, in fact, I've seen write-ups to that effect, that this has been one of the best periods for Nigeria. So in the light of the Reverend Father's submission, do you align with him or do you disagree?
Okay, not totally disagreeing, but I think times have changed. And we have situations, totally different from, the First Republic that he's referring to. Our population have grown. People are more exposed to technology and a whole lot of things. The dynamics of politics, from then has changed. The issues, we deal with currently have also changed. So I think for me, what we should be talking about is going forward on, the situations and the challenges that we face as of today.
Well, the challenges are clear, definitely. I just wanted to get your opinion on that one. So your party, the APC, has been in operation for 9 years. You've been in power for now close to 7 years. And maybe start from the basics, because we can talk about what we're seeing. But in the thinking of the APC, what was the plan? What is the ideology of your party? Because I think that's an important place to build from. What is the ideology? What is that ethos, the philosophy of the APC as a party?
So basically, the APC was formed as a party for progress and change. Okay, there were a lot of missing gaps, in the previous administration, and people came together, to foster a cause, and we were able to, in 2015, get power, and APC is in charge of the affairs of Nigeria today. Okay, as it stands today, I cannot run away from the fact that we have challenges, enormous challenges, facing us, okay, as a nation and as a people, and for me, it goes beyond right now. The issues we have on ground, on hand, as regards insecurity, goes beyond, APC or the government. The issue we have on hand as regarding insecurity, it's a Nigerian problem, and it is something that all hands must be on deck for us to tackle and for us to see that it comes to an end. Okay, so yes, a lot of things were promised, from our end as a party. Of course, when we took over governance in 2015, what was met on ground was even worse than what the party even thought was existing or was happening, before we got into power. Okay, so the fact remains that there are a lot of issues, and over the years, these issues have culminated into what it is today. And I know and I think that, it is a problem that everybody must put heads together to solve. It goes beyond just APC or the government or any or opposition or whatever. Right now, what we need to do as a people and as a nation is to come together and see how we can solve this very daredevil challenge we are having today as a nation.
So from your perspective, you say that this is a Nigerian problem. All hands must be on deck. All heads must be put together. Which of the hands is, or there are more than one hands that are not on deck? Which of the heads are not coming together right now?
So for me, I just feel that the conversation that should be on the front burner today as regarding insecurity should be such that it should be a nationalistic conversation, not a conversation of blame game. Okay?
I agree with that.
Everybody,
I get
every
the
citizen
point
has
there.
got a role to play.
I understand. So which hand is not on deck? Which head is not coming together to come up with a solution to the challenges? Not just insecurity, by the way. There are a lot of them. But where do we have an issue? If you seem to be saying the government's hand is on deck on this one. So which other hand is not on deck?
So I'm saying the citizens have got a role to play. Okay? The private sector has got a role to play. Everybody in one facet or the other of the society has got a role to play. Okay? So it's not about a hand or a head being on it or not on it. Okay? It's all about how we can come together as a people and as a nation to solve this very horrific challenge of insecurity we are having at the moment. Okay? So for me, what is more important right now is how we can go through this as a people and as a nation together, okay? So because we have to, first of all, even leave for us to even talk about governance, you know? It is it's a very worrisome situation that we find ourselves today. And I mean, everybody must come together and, you know, lend a voice, give an advice to what they feel can, you know, bring to an end or hasten the solution of solving these issues that we have currently at the moment.
Well, Mr. Abu, just one question that I would want to ask, begin with this part of the conversation. Well, my colleague has asked you a question around security. And insecurity was one of the three main pillars upon which your party came into power. So let's just stay with insecurity, because there are those who also believe that there can be no economic development if we do not have a secure environment where people can invest. So this government came into power with a promise to deal decisively with insecurity. And it has not only gotten worse as far as some people are concerned, it has evolved, okay, from the kind of terrorism we had back then to a completely different set of kind of terrorism altogether that spread almost all through the nation. So there are those who will be asking you, Mr. Abu, if the APC promised to deal with insecurity decisively and has not been able to do it over the past 7 years, why should they consider the APC in the next general elections?
Okay, so in response to your question, I'll start by first of all saying it would be an unfair thing to say that the APC or the government have not dealt with insecurity decisively. Because if you talk to the people that live in the northeast, Borno State to be precise, they will tell you that the situation there, as per insecurity, has improved very well. And the governor of Borno State has come on air to say that countless times. Okay? Now, there was a time, even in Abuja here, that I live in, we could hardly even barely go to churches or attend services because we were scared of where the next bomb is going to go off. That has not happened since this government came into power, okay? Military facilities around Abuja, you couldn't even pass around there because everywhere was practically condoed off, okay? And I'm happy that you said that the insecurity situation of the country has evolved, okay? And now, as we exist as a people, we will always be faced with challenges of things happening that would not have been projected or captured in whatever a policy that government has put in place when it comes to tackling certain menace in the society. Now, I doubt it very much if back in 2010 or 2015, anybody would have thought that a day will come when people will be abducted, you know, in very large numbers, and ransom will be demanded and all of that. Now, it is a situation nobody forecasted, and we are faced with it today. Now, for me, the conversation is, what is the way forward? How can we get through this? What are the things that we can do to ensure that
Mr.
this
Abu,
very terrible situation that happens in our country go away?
What you just talked about now, just a second, Mr. Abu.
Very frantic efforts.
My apologies. I know, I mean, everyone can see. There is, for those who may not even be able to see, I usually assume that government is doing something. But at the end of the day, for people, it's what they can see. Now, you talked about the fact that we didn't have a situation on our hands where people were abducted in large numbers. For God's sake, we saw it coming, even before this government came into power. It was in 2014 that the Chibok girls were abducted. So it was like that was when it began. And it was part of the promise, part of the things that made this government say, we are going to deal decisively with insecurity so that that kind of thing never has to happen again. I don't even need to list the number of times that has happened over time. Isn't that insecurity on its own?
Now, I know of a fact that the situation of insecurity is not just a government problem. It's not just a solution. It's not just a government to solve insecurity. Insecurity in every nation includes everybody, okay? Now, the citizens have got a role to play when it comes to the situation of insecurity and the kind of situation we find ourselves today. Now, don't forget that when we talk about banditry or terrorism, these people are human beings. They are citizens. A large number of them are citizens, even though we have situations where foreigners, you know, have invaded this whole insecurity issues and terrorists, you know, that exist in our country today or in the sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, but at the end of the day, the citizens have also got a role to play. Okay, so for everything that happens in every community, there are community leaders, there are people in the community that must give information. Of course, you and I know that we have a situation of population of our military, police, the army, and all the paramilitary not being equated to the numbers of the population we have in this country. Okay, so what it means is that there will hardly be a time where the military or the police can be at every part of the country. Okay, so but communities must help in giving intelligence and must partake in seeing how in proffering solutions on how these things can be tackled.
Okay, Mr. Abu, as we wind down,
have been compromised,
right?
And because these people come from communities, they live within communities, and they speak with community. They have some collaborations, and the military or the government alone cannot solve this problem.
And I think it's important to stress that point. I mean, it's meant to be collective work. But, you know, Reverend Father earlier on said, we seem to be blaming the victim. And as we wind down in about a minute, I'd like you to speak from your heart to the Nigerian out there whose I don't know, family member has been kidnapped, whose village has been under a series of attacks. And, you know, person listening to you right now saying or hearing that, you know, we need to do this together, all hands need to be on deck, and the person is probably thinking, what more can I do? I'm just one person. If anything, I need a lot of help right now. So I'd like you to speak from your heart to the average Nigerian out there who's having mixed feelings or mixed, you know, signals from some of the things you're saying. What would you tell them about your party, its ability to deliver, and the coming election?
So what has kept us going in this country a lot of times is hope. I'll keep telling the average Nigerian to keep up the hope, keep up the faith. It is a very, very dear times that we are in. It is regrettable that situations have happened in this manner, and we will always continue to do our best and play our part in ensuring that every Nigerian everywhere in this part of the country is kept safe, you know, and we must, as a citizen, see that we find a way to keep ourselves safe, you know, from any kind of harm. It is a situation that nobody has envisaged, and we know that for every other situations and times that difficult times we have been through in this country that has come and passed, these too shall pass.
Well, I think that's where we'll leave it then. I'm sure Nigerians have heard you, but I'd like to thank you so much. Lots of ground to cover, but I think we'll leave it here for another day. Mr. Andrew Abu, a member of the APC, joining us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for your time, and we wish your party and the government the very best.
Thank you very much for having me.